Hello, we are Team 3, and this is the final demonstration for the crowdfund and resource modules for the OneStep Relief Platform. We're going to walk through the functionality of each with a particular eye toward the module's integration with the other services that make up the OneStep platform as a whole. And we'll do so through the lens of some of the user profiles that you were just introduced to. So for example, we'll start as Lee. Lee is a member of the general public. Perhaps Lee stumbled upon onestep.org through a friend's Facebook post or something similar. And so when Lee lands on the page, he'll be greeted with a list of crowdfunds. Notably here, the crowdfund module forms one of the most front-facing parts of the platform in the sense that here, for example, Lee is not a member, is not logged in. However, we can still donate to funds. And we can also still view details of funds. So for example, we can watch video content to learn more about the funds. We can see descriptions of these funds, organizations associated with the funds, their goals, their progress, and a very transparent and full ledger for money that is moving to and from the fund. But let's say now Lee wants to make a donation to this crowdfund. Lee can put in his pay string. You would have learned a little bit about pay strings just a few minutes ago in the previous demonstration. And so here we're going to make a modest donation. And so we'll click that button. We're thanked for donating. Off screen here, my phone is being pinged to sign the transaction on the PayGo app on my phone. And so bear with me while I type in my PIN. And so this demonstrates the close integration and application of the blockchain functionality with the crowdfund module. And so here you can see after I've signed the transaction, we've moved funds from Lee's account into this account, which is the crowdfund escrow that was set up by OneStep specifically for that fund. And so this, of course, begs the question of who sets these funds up. And so this is a segue into our second profile, where we're going to log in as Kumar, who is a relief worker and administrator for a few relief organizations. And so if we log in as Kumar, we first are greeted with this dashboard. We can see that Kumar is administrates, or at least help administrates, 2 organizations. And if we dig a little deeper into the organization module, we can see that there are projects associated with some of these organizations. And so our primary goal here is going to be to set up a fund for one of those projects. But first, let's head over to the crowdfund module once more. Because we hold certain roles in certain organizations, Kumar is granted administrative privileges to do a few things. First, he can view his funds. So for example, you can see that Kumar has actually already set up a crowdfund. And so we can click that, and we'll notice here also that there are some further administrative privileges based on Kumar's roles to do things like update and manage funds, as well as distribute money from funds. So for brevity's sake, we won't go into too much detail here, but the idea is that in addition to raising money, the platform also helps authorize folks to move money out of funds to use them, hopefully, for good purposes. But right here, what we're going to do is set up a new fund. And so first, part of this, I want to demonstrate the rewards integration. So you would have learned a little bit about that as well in the prior demo. You can see we have about 1,000 STEP tokens currently. And what we'll find is we're rewarded for setting up new crowd funds in the platform. We're going to set up a new fund for COVID vaccine distribution. Here's another and third integration that we'll show, which is with the organization module. That's also technically present with the authorization, but here you can see the organizations that Kumar is a part of, and you'll notice that this menu also updates based on the projects that we can set up funds for. So we're going to set one up for the relevant fund. We're going to set some start and end dates. We're going to set a goal amount in currency, and we're going to create the fund. This will kick us to sort of our shell of a page. What we're going to want to do probably is spruce this up. We want to upload an image and set a video. But first, let's just head briefly back to that widget. And what you'll notice is we've been upgraded to silver status. So we've been awarded 1,000 STEP tokens through the rewards integration for participating in the OneStep Relief Platform. But last but not least, let's head back to the fund and let's upload a picture. So what we're going to do here is choose a picture that is suitable for this COVID one. We'll upload it, and so we'll set that. We'll also set a video ID. And lastly, we'll set up the escrow account by clicking this button. And so the other part of the blockchain integration is that blockchain and the platform as a whole sort of abstracts away anything related to the finances. So here, with just one click, we now have a fund that's ready to go. We can publish this fund. Let's update it. And now if we head back to the main page, we should now see this fund right here that we set up, which is ready for the general public to donate to. Now we're going to switch gears to the resource module. The resource module effectively acts as a multi-vendor marketplace to exchange goods and services for disaster relief efforts. Though, of course, one of the unique features here is that all of the suppliers of these resources and the buyers are members of the OneStep community. As Kumar logged in here, I might want to spend some of the fundraised money. And so here I can do things like browse the resources that are available. You can see there are ratings here. We can see how far away we are from the resources based on our location as opposed to the resources location. And we can also do things like sort and or search for the resources that are available. If we head into a resource page, we can dig further into the reviews. So there's review functionality. We can also leave reviews if we bought the resource. We can learn more about the suppliers from here if we want. There's also review functionality for suppliers. There's discussion boards. So if folks are discussing the resources or I want to ask questions of the supplier, we can do so there. And finally, there's map functionality. And so we've integrated with Google Maps API to basically drop a pin so we can understand, where these resources are located. That's also what drove the distance calculation that we saw on the previous page. But let's head back to the main page. Let's say that Kumar wants to buy a set of these bed sheets. We're going to go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to very quickly, for brevity, input our shipping information here. Don't leave fake information for your suppliers. That's not nice, but we're going to do that here. Once again, we're going to enter our trusty pay string, just like we saw in the crowdfund module, and then we're going to submit our order. And so I realize this is basically what we saw with the donation, just a slightly different flavor. But similarly, I'm going to pay for this resource using the PayGo app. And so I'm going to input my PIN and sign this transaction. And so just like we saw with the donation, we're going to see this transaction appear, moving it from our account, in this case, into the supplier's account, which is actually contained in the organization module. Now, last but not least, we're going to log out and back in now as our third profile, which, as you can probably guess, is a supplier. And so this supplier is going to be Fatima. And so we're going to log in as her now. And so when we get here, you'll notice that we are a member of one organization, which is a supplier, and we'll head back into the resource module. Now, kind of analogous to the fund module, because Fatima holds administrative privileges in an organization designated as a supplier, you'll notice that we have a new option here in the top right. So we have an administrative menu. And so Fatima can do things like review her orders. So not coincidentally, at the top here is actually the order we just placed through Kumar's profile. But we can also head over to the resource tab and see a rundown of all the resources that Fatima currently has posted. So this one's, of course, nice and simple. Fatima has 2 posted, the bed sheets that we just bought, or I should say that Kumar just bought, as well as these face masks that we saw on the front page. What we're going to do here is just basically as an illustration of creating a resource, but also once again to demonstrate the awarding of points. Here you can see we currently have about 2,000 points in Fatima's profile. We're also going to be rewarded points for creating a resource. So we're going to go ahead and set this up. I think what we'll set up here is diapers. So bear with me. We'll do this nice and fast, but we'll do a couple real ones. So we'll call these $10 a piece. We'll choose currency, count in stock. Our address here is actually pre-populated from the organization module, right? Because suppliers already have an address set up, so we pull it from there. Though you can edit it, for example, if the supplier may want to make goods and services available from different locations, that option is open. In theory, we could also be responsible for multiple suppliers. Fatima is responsible for one, but we could choose if we had those rights in the system. We'll choose a shipping option and a brand, and then we'll go ahead and create the resource. Kind of like the fund module, we probably want to do things like upload an image, so we will go ahead and do that. Bear with me while I go ahead and upload. And then we're also going to publish the resource. So we'll hit this publish button, and then we'll head back to the home page. And so here you can see the diapers that Fatima just posted and made available for sale. Last but not least, if we head back to the rewards service, this one we didn't get quite as big of a reward as we did for a crowdfund, but we were awarded 100 step tokens. And so once again, rewarded for activities that we're taking in the platform. And so that's sort of a whirlwind tour of the crowdfund and resource modules. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to your questions.